All right, guys, welcome back for the next little section that we're going to cover. So, for standard one, the cell as a system, we are now looking at 1A.2. This is where you will be able to describe the tenets or the ideas of the cell theory and the contributions of Schwann, Hooke, Schleiden, and Virchow. So, these really old guys that basically discovered what in the world is a cell and what does it do for us. Okay. So let's get right to it. Let me move my little face around here. All right. So Robert Hooke, he was one of the original contributors to the cell theory. He used a light microscope to look at thin slices of plant tissues, which are called, at the time, it was a cork plant. And then he noticed that they were composed of these little tiny chambers. So when you're looking under that microscope, he saw all these little tiny chambers, and he called those cells, or what he viewed was the cell. Okay, and then if we move on along, we have Matthias Schleiden. This is a German botanist, so that means he is someone who studied plants, and he viewed plant parts under a microscope, and he discovered that plant parts are made of cells. So all the different parts of the plants that he would view under the microscope, he said, okay, those are also made of cells. So his big conclusion and contribution: all plants are made of cells. And then moving on, we have Theodor Schwann. He is a German zoologist. This is someone who studies animals. So it's kind of easy to think of. Think you go to the zoo to see animals. This is the guy who studied animals. He saw that all animals that he studied were also cellular. So his big conclusion and contribution: all animals are made of cells. The way that I remember this one is, think of his last name. It's an animal, Schwann. All animals are made of cells. So it's kind of an easy association to make for him. And then finally, Rudolf Virchow. I mean, look at those cute little glasses. Adorable. Okay, so he's a German physician who studied cellular reproduction, so the ways that cells divided. And his big conclusion is, wow, all cells come from pre-existing cells. So you start off with one cell, and then it divides into two cells, exactly like the original cell. Of course, this is in general regular cell division. So his big contribution, Rudolf Virchow states, all cells come from pre-existing cells. So then, of course, we have the actual cell theory. So you can see in these images, these are like the tiny chambers that that Hooke was talking about when he first looked under the light microscope and saw all these little shapes that he kind of described as almost like living quarters, little chambers. So this is what we have as the cell theory, or the tenets of the cell theory. All living things are composed of cells. Okay? Cells are the basic unit of structure and function in living things. So the cell is the basic unit of life. And all cells come from pre-existing cells. If you get those three, you're good to go. All right, so this wraps it up for this tiny section, 1A.2, on the tenets of the cell theory and the cell theory contributors. So get to work on your notes, and then we are going to have kind of a wrap-up quiz to help you look at all this material and make sure you got it. All right, good job, guys.